Hey everybody, today on the channel we're going to be talking about this 2018 Hyundai Kona SE all-wheel drive. So of course, as many of you know, I am a previous two-time Hyundai owner. So I had a 2021 Elantra N-Line, and before that I had a 2012 Hyundai Sonata. So, basically I've been around the Hyundai scape for a while, but I've never driven a Kona besides the Kona N. So this 2018 Kona SE all-wheel drive has the naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that makes 147 horsepower, so fairly powerful for just above 3,000 pound curb weight. You'd think with all-wheel drive this car would be a bit heavier, but it's still a compact crossover, so fairly small footprint. So this car was provided to us by First International Auto Group out of Merrimack. Price listed on their site is just above $13,000 US. This Kona has above 90,000 miles on it, so fairly high mileage car, but it's in really great shape. Of course, in the front end, Hyundai did a little different with their design language starting in 2018 with the split headlight model. So basically we have these daytime running lights, and then below it we have our standard headlights. Side profile has a lot of plastic cladding, but we have these 16-inch alloy 5-spoke rims which complement the car pretty well. So in the back here we have the iconic Kona rear end, which I actually really like. It definitely lends itself to the Kona N, where you have like that added spoiler and stuff, but this one still looks pretty good. Of course, we have a backup camera back here and plenty of room in the hatchback, which I'll show you now. So of course these seats fold down, providing a lot of room to the cabin. You could get a ladder back here, no problem whatsoever. Under here we do have a traditional spare tire, no fill up patch kit, which I do appreciate them including an actual spare. So in this back seat, sitting behind myself, I'm 5'9". I have about an inch of headroom and almost no legroom, which is unfortunate. I'm a fairly short dude, so to have no room back sitting behind myself is kind of a problem, but these Konas have a very small footprint, so that's just what ends up happening. We also don't have any vents back here, but it's a small enough car on a hot summer day. You should be able to get cool back here, no problem. No sunroof in the SE, just note that. The door cards, we do have little speakers on the bottom hand side, and we do have these cargo nets to, to store stuff such as your giant map book that you unfortunately don't need anymore thanks to GPS. So with this 2018 Hyundai Kona, we actually do have wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which for 2018 is very impressive because really at that time, auto manufacturers were starting to partner with Android and Apple and get the integration into cars, but a lot of the economic brands such as Hyundai, Toyota, Honda, Kia, etc., Nissan, they didn't have Apple CarPlay, while some of the, higher end manufacturers did, such as Audi, BMW, Mercedes. Like, they were all just adopting that at that point. So for Hyundai to be one of the first adopters of Apple CarPlay and have it in this 2018, it's a very large selling point because Apple CarPlay has provided a lot of ease of use when it comes to car infotainment. So paired to this naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder is a 6-speed automatic. So fortunately no CVT in this car, which I appreciate because CVTs oftentimes suck. I mean, there's no better way to put it other than they're just not good. They do provide added fuel economy, which I do understand, but if you're a car guy like me, oftentimes you'll drive a CVT and be like, what am I driving? It feels like a slush box. And they're just kind of funky in how they engage with your overall driving experience. So for this gauge cluster, it's a pretty standard Hyundai setup. We have analog gauges with a digital screen in the middle, which you can control with this button on the steering wheel. Of course, on the steering wheel, we also have our cruise control. No adaptive, but even having standard cruise control in a car at this price point is a very good thing. On the left-hand side of our steering wheel, we have general controls such as volume and skip track, as well as changing your media mode, such as, FM, AM, Bluetooth, or in this case, Apple CarPlay. The steering wheel itself is hard plastic, feels like a Fisher-Price toy. They didn't throw some added nice materials for the steering wheel, which I think is a mistake, because this is the component you touch the most in a car. It's funny, the car really uses all of that power band. The transmission will literally take this thing to red line, let it rev out before it shifts, which I find funny because my 2021 Elantra N-Line did not do that. It would get to like 100 RPMs below red line and automatically shift even if you were in manual mode. But this thing is not fast by any means, but it has enough passing power where you can get around and get moving. All-wheel drive system, of course, hooks up pretty well, but you definitely feel the added weight compared to front-wheel drive, which is standard in these Konas. So for our HVAC controls here, we just have analog dials. I honestly think that having a temperature set point, such as being able to see it's 72 degrees Fahrenheit, rather than these analog dials, is definitely a good thing that manufacturers started doing. But I'm really surprised that they included this in the Kona. Maybe they're really just trying to save money. For fuel economy numbers, we get really great fuel economy in this car. 25 city, 30 miles per gallon highway. Fairly impressive for a car that has all-wheel drive, but I think that also goes back to its curb weight. This car's still very light, even with the all-wheel drive. And the 6-speed automatic and 2-liter 4-cylinder clearly do a good job at being efficient. We don't have an eco mode in this Kona. We only have normal and sport. Currently we're in sport, and between normal and sport in this car, you can't really tell a huge difference. There's definitely some transmission tuning going on. And you can definitely hear how noisy this engine is. Honestly, if I were to have this car, I would keep it in normal. Just try to be as efficient as possible, because when this 4-cylinder revs up, it's just not really a pleasant sound. It definitely goes back to, some of these lower end 4-cylinders or even lower end engines in cars really lack the refinement that even the cheaper EVs have. So if you are comparing this between that and a pre-owned Kona EV, which surprisingly they're going to be similar price points because of EV's depreciation. On the secondhand market, you could probably get a Kona EV for pretty cheap, and I would definitely drive one of these back to back with the Kona EV, and I guarantee you will walk out of those test drives being like, wow, the Kona EV is a lot more refined and feels like a more expensive car. Overall, the interior design definitely lends itself to be an economy car. We have a lot of hard plastic everywhere, including the steering wheel, as I said before. We do have one automatic window switch, which is for the driver here, but it only goes down. It's not automatic on the way back up, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why they couldn't just automatic up, automatic down, but that's just how it is. These cloth seats are comfortable. They provide good side bolstering if you're, really gonna pull a G with the Kona here, going around turns. It'll hold you in place and also provide a lot of comfort on long road trips. I do have ample leg space too. I feel like even though this is a cramped, compact crossover, we do have good room for the driver and the front passenger here. I really do think where this car falls short is the rear passenger room. In terms of visibility, it's great out the front, good out the sides in between the A and the B pillar, but our C-pillar is really just blind spot mania, and we don't have blind spot monitoring here in the Kona SE. Definitely in the higher trims, but not in the SE. So one thing that Hyundai does really well that other manufacturers should learn is when you turn on your windshield wipers, they show in this little screen what setting they are. And that is so important because when you're changing your windshield wiper settings, oftentimes you can lose track of which one you're on. And it's such an easy thing to integrate in these digital gauge clusters nowadays. More manufacturers should learn from Hyundai. So today we were actually recording 2 videos. I just got out of a 2017 Corolla IM, which is a hatchback Corolla, and does compete in the same market as this Kona. So I can talk a little bit about the differences between the two. I think the Kona here rides better. You get a little bit higher of a seating position too. I will say it's a lot more quiet in this interior too. You just have a little bit more sound deadening that makes all the difference. I think a lot of that has to do with tires too, right? So if we have higher end tires on this Kona, it's gonna ride and sound a little bit better than that Corolla IM. But one key advantage that this Kona has that the Corolla IM doesn't is Apple CarPlay. If you're shopping between these two, especially if you're here at First International Auto Group, these cars are priced at, basically that same price point of $13,000 US. This one's got 96,000 miles on it. That Corolla has 103,000. And frankly, with Apple CarPlay, this would be my personal choice between the two. Alright, so we're on the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire. If you don't know the test, you don't watch a lot of videos on my channel, we approach this road at 20 miles an hour in every single car we review over here and test out the suspension. So actually a little bit more stiff of a ride than I thought it would be. I feel like the added suspension travel does help a little bit in terms of comparing the Kona to the Elantra. I will say that this Kona definitely could use a little bit softer of a suspension setup. The Corolla IM that we just got out of handled that road a lot better. So just in terms of those harsher, bigger bumps, the Corolla IM, which sits lower, obviously has a better suspension setup that can handle some of those more jarring bumps. So some of you may ask, what's the charging situation up here? Is there ports? You have Apple CarPlay, of course you get a plug in. So we have a USB port, we have an auxiliary port, and then we also have 2 12 volts. I will say if you have a modern iPhone, you're gonna have a USB-C cable. So you'll have to buy a USB cable if you buy this car and have, like an iPhone 14 or 15, or even the newest one with the 16. While we're stopped here, let's check out this car in reverse. Let's check out the backup camera. Pretty decent quality. I actually noticed when I was backing up earlier that it's fairly high resolution, whereas when you're backing up, it looks a lot more clear than some of the other backup cameras on the market. Waving to fellow Kona owners because you see them all over the place. I feel like the Kona has become a more and more popular vehicle over time, and I think that a lot of people who would normally buy Elantras, in this case, opted for the Kona because of the added ride height and of course the hatchback rather than the trunk gives you a little bit more practicality. I will say, comparing this as far as back seat room to my Elantra, this car actually gets less back seat room. It's a little bit higher up and a little bit squished together compared to the Elantra. I feel like overall I would opt for the Elantra if I were driving around 4 people regularly, just because my backseat passengers would thank me tremendously for that added legroom. So the design of these Konas is often controversial, especially when they first came out, just due to that split headlight setup. I actually like it. It's a little charming to me. These things just look like cute little bugs on the road, and when I see them, I don't hate them. I think the split headlight idea in, concept is dumb. but I think it lends itself to decent looks when it comes to the Kona. And you know, maybe their larger SUVs should not adopt this style too, such as, you know, the Tucson, the Santa Fe. But I think it looks good on a small little compact crossover like the Kona, just because of, you know, that added charm and characteristic that the split headlight design lends itself to. So to conclude my thoughts on the Kona, if you're in the market and you're shopping between, you know, this Kona and the Corolla hatchback like we just drove, I would still opt for the Kona just because of the Apple CarPlay and the added ride height. Overall, I enjoyed my time in this Kona. If you guys have any questions or concerns, leave them below. Definitely don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, as it helps me gain more access to cars. I really do appreciate everybody who does subscribe. It's free to you, so please do it. Lastly, check out my Instagram. I post cars that I'm reviewing on there ahead of time, so you know what's next up on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Bye.